I am joined today by Adam Holtz of Plugged In fame. Hello, Adam.
How are you doing, Andy?
Do you know, I'm not too bad. Not quite fine fettled, but not too far off. We're pressing
Okay.
forwards.
Well, nobody knows what that means anyway, so
Jolly
it's all
good. Me
good.
neither. It sounds good, doesn't
At least not on this side of the pond.
it? Probably not over here as well. Fine fettled would be good.
Yes, I know. I'm just teasing you.
That's fine. I don't know these things. Anyway, you said just a moment ago we got lots to get through. So
Yes.
let's just crack into this.
Well, let's start with something normal, and then I have a couple things that are a little bit off the beaten path that I want to talk about.
Excellent.
So the normal thing is movie reviews. So the Fantastic Four First Steps is out this week, and Marvel sure hopes that we are all going to pony up and go see it 15 times because they need a win. And I think from a plugged in perspective, I think it is a win. I think it works as a movie. And if you're not one of the Marvel faithful and you actually have other things that occupy your time than the nerdy comic book pursuits that some of us have been engrossed in for much of our lives. The Fantastic Four are sometimes referred to as Marvel's first family. It was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby who was the artist. It was kind of their first major superhero creation. Now, you can go back and pick nits if you want. There were a couple others before that, but really, the Fantastic Four is the beginning of the Marvel universe as we know it. But now they're being brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fans will know there have been a couple other Fantastic Four movies that were middling at best in terms of their reception. And even that is probably being kind. But Marvel has now purchased the rights back. So let's put the band back together. And this particular iteration of the Fantastic Four is in an alternate universe that is set in the 1960s or something that looks like the 1960s. And that allows them to be kind of period correct with what the comic books were. And so it has sort of a golly gee whiz modernistic Jetsons feel to it, which some might think is corny, but I actually felt like worked pretty well. And it's about four astronauts, Reed Richards, Sue Richards, his wife, Ben Grimm, a friend, and Johnny Storm, Sue's brother, who go into space, get bombarded by cosmic rays, and come back with superpowers. So Reed, who's played by Pedro Pascal, comes back being able to stretch any of his appendages in his body in crazy ways, kind of like Plastic Man. Sue Storm, or Sue Richards, because they get married, it is able to turn invisible, and she can do these cool force fields that are actually quite versatile. Johnny Storm turns into the Human Torch, so as the name implies, he is basically on fire. He flies around, he throws fireballs, etc., ad infinitum. And Ben Grimm becomes sort of a granite version of the Hulk called the Thing. He's made up of lots of little rocks, and they, do what superheroes do. They save the world. So in this movie, and this is based on a very, very famous story trajectory in the comics, a character named Galactus shows up. Galactus is about the size of Godzilla. He wears a cool purple suit with a crazy helmet with multiple horns, and he is fated to have to eat planets to survive. It's not something he really chose, but we all have our burden to care. Galactus has a herald at any given time, which is somebody he taps to say, hey, you're with me now, and you're going to tell the planets that I'm about to eat, hey, Galactus is coming for lunch, and your lunch. And so he does that with a female Silver Surfer who shows up, and that character's typically been male in the comics, except for some alternate universes. And she's like, hey, yeah, Galactus is coming. Too bad, so sad, but you're next. And the movie ensues from there. So that's a lot. I'm a comic book nerd, but even that feels like a brief summary. There is some intensity, but the body count is maybe zero. I'm not sure we actually see anybody die on screen, and the profanity count was lower than we've seen from Marvel movies recently too, although there are a couple misuses of Jesus' name, which some people will be more concerned about that. But I would say on balance, there's less content than we're used to. And it's got a great pro-family message. It's very much about the goodness of family and especially the goodness of a sacrificial mother. So I quite liked it. I hope it does well. There's a lot going on. And I mean, even just me trying to summarize it just took like 5 minutes. So that is the Fantastic Four first steps.
Being very careful not to cause global offense. Is this the same franchise as Iron Man, or is that a different thing?
No, it's the same. Yeah,
Oh,
it's the
okay.
same universe. Yes, it is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is a shared cinematic narrative place. So,
My
yes.
mind immediately from the description of the four people going to space, it just reminds me two of the characters from The Incredibles. You got
Yeah.
Elastigirl who can
Oh,
stretch,
yeah.
and you got this sort of Hulk character with Mister Incredible.
Yep.
So, and then you got the
Yep.
force field from the daughter.
Right. No, I mean, The Incredibles is was an intentional, almost straight up Fantastic Four ripoff. And I mean, in the best way. They weren't like trying to pretend they didn't know, right?
Cool. Okay. So you're a big fan, I'm guessing, because if you're into comics and this is,
Yes.
getting your comic geek
Yes.
on, then that's a good thing.
Yep, it's a good thing, and I hope that they can continue to craft stories that not only are, I think, appealing to the core audience, but reach out to a bigger audience, and especially when they have redemptive messages. I mean, that's really what we're about at Plugged In. We're not just about me geeking out over a comic book movie. We're about what's the core worldview here. And the core worldview here is a good one, that family is good, marriage is good, parenthood is good, and parents who are willing to, do whatever it takes to protect their kids, that's a good thing too.
Cool. Okay. Where else are we going to go to next?
Well, I thought we would do a couple things that are a little bit more pop culture related. We have a regular feature called On the Radar. And this week, one of the stories we're going to talk about, and it won't publish until Saturday, is this whole crazy thing that happened at the Coldplay concert. Did you see that news story?
Yes, I did, and thought, that's interesting. It's interesting
It
how
is
much
interesting.
guilt there was so fast, and also Chris Martin saying, "Oh, are they having an
Yeah.
affair?" So yeah,
Yeah.
it was absolutely obvious to everybody, including the lead singer.
Yeah. I mean, you would almost have to live under a non-electrified rock not to have seen this story somewhere this week. But at the Coldplay concerts, their current series, they do a sort of kiss cam, an image of a couple, and then Chris Martin makes up a song about them on the spot, which that was what he has been doing. And their attempt to evade the camera prompted him to say exactly what you just said. Well, it turns out the guy's a CEO of an AI company, and the woman he was having an affair with is his HR director, which, is kind of a no-no to have
Mm-hmm.
affairs in the workplace, right? That's why you have HR. So that is an interesting thing. I think the two elements that are germane to conversation with our kids are, even though we're tempted to laugh at it, I mean, it's not a laughing matter,
Mm-mm.
right? This couple getting caught in an affair, and I may have just laughed at it a bit too. It's a serious thing, and it will have wrecked their lives. And the affair on its own, maybe more slowly, probably was causing damage too. But now it's been revealed, right? And I think on a spiritual level, there are a couple things going on here. Number one, just the idea that even if we think we're getting away with something, um, God knows
Mm.
and He sees, and it may be revealed in ways that we never saw coming. Their horrified reactions indicate very clearly they were not expecting this to happen. And I think there's a very modern or 21st century takeaway too was, in a world where there's cameras and recorders everywhere, you could do or say almost anything. And there's a chance that even if you don't realize it, somebody's watching, somebody's recording that, that it really is something that uh, could come out later, and just being mindful of, um, don't be an idiot in public. And, I'm not saying if you're having an affair, work hard to hide it, but um, man, we're living in a world where it's hard to keep secrets. And sometimes what you thought was a secret becomes a punchline around the world. And I don't think any of us want to be that person. So I thought it was interesting on all of those levels.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting on a bunch of stuff because clearly, if you've not seen this, this is a couple who are having an affair. They were caught on a camera on a massive screen at a Coldplay concert. So we're not talking about 50 people here.
Right.
Probably, I don't know the numbers. I'm guessing
Probably
several thousand, and
a
then some.
number. Yes.
Yeah, one or two. And they got caught having an affair basically because they were caught on camera and didn't want to be there. The thing is, it probably would have made no impact on the world if they'd not reacted. That was one of my first
Exactly.
thoughts,
Yep.
which just shows the guilt. And it also shows that somebody's always watching what you're doing, whether you believe that or not. I think
Yep.
this is a brilliant example of the fact that, you know what? Jesus really is watching over your shoulder at what you are doing and
Yeah.
what you are watching.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's just been an interesting story. And I think the fact that Chris Martin recognized it for what it was instantly,
Yeah.
right? He's like, well, they're either really shy or having an affair. Um, and the horrified looks on their faces tell the whole story, right? And none of us want to be the person with a horrified look on our face because our secret has just been revealed to the world.
Yeah.
And we all fail. I mean, I think that's the other thing. Even if you're not having a secret or participating in something sinful or destructive, um, none of us want to have that happen to us on any level. So anyway, lots to talk about there.
And there is there's an awful lot. I also saw that he's been made to resign from his
Yeah.
position because it was
Yep.
unacceptable. The company wasn't happy about how it looks. But this is the thing: when we do something, a single act, I was going to say a simple act, but a single act that's
Yeah.
affected at least two people, two families,
Oh
two
yeah.
sets of people. And
Yeah.
my wife and I worked this out because one day, because we're both from divorced families, it's like 30, 40 years worth of time before that one moment can
Right.
kind of be fully eradicated from memories because now the children,
Yep.
the grandchildren, the great grandchildren, now it's not being spoken of. It's the amount of impact it has for so long just
Yep.
because of something that we do that we don't think anybody's going to notice, which is why I like Plugged In because it prepares us for things that, I mean, we've had those butt clenching moments watching a film thinking, my kids are watching this. I didn't know that was going to
Yep.
happen. We need to have a
Yep.
conversation, which is where we found
Yeah.
Plugged In many years ago
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
it matters.
Yep. It
Yeah.
does matter. And, I think one of the things that we keep track of at Plugged In is just, what celebrity influence looks like. And I was already thinking about this, but I just saw, and this is the next thing I want to talk about, that the American professional wrestler Hulk Hogan has died of a heart attack.
Yes.
Um, and I thought, man, Hulk Hogan and Ozzy in 1 week. Here you have two guys who have made multi-decade careers of being in the public eye. Ozzy obviously started with Black Sabbath and then had a lengthy multi-decade solo career as a singer, but they both cultivated personas that were bigger than life,
Mm.
right? They both cultivated, Ozzy was jokingly called the Prince of Darkness, and he did crazy things in the 80s and somewhat less so since then, other than his penchant for using foul language, which was still pretty famous. And Hulk Hogan, he's practically a human superhero. Like, what do you mean Hulk Hogan died of a heart attack? That's not a superhero way to die.
Mm.
Um, and again, I think it gives us an opportunity to talk about the reality of death, even among celebrities, even among people who are bigger than life. It is it just opens that door. And maybe that's with our kids. Maybe it's with coworkers, what do we do with the fact that, oh, look, these guys died? And it may not quite be on, Lady Diana and Mother Teresa territory, because I believe they died on the same day in 1997, and one got obviously
Wow.
more initial publicity than the other. But when we have these very famous people who pass, it is, I think, an opportunity to reflect with our kids on on mortality. What's the Latin phrase? Memento mori. Remember, we will die. Yeah, it's not what I want to think about, but it's another important thing to reflect on.
But as we consider the things that we listen to, the things that we watch or read, even the games that we play, one of the things we have to be conscious of is we're being influenced by them one way or another. It is impossible to be neutral. You can't go to a film and have no reaction. You can
Right.
go and watch the film famously about paint drying. You're still reacting to something, even as innocuous and as ridiculous as that is. So
Yep.
when the news of Ozzy Osbourne passing away or Hulk Hogan, it's going to affect us because we build our lives, like you say. And I remember watching a film, don't remember which one, but one of the characters in the film was playing the character of some sort of like the Chips, one of the biker guys, like an action
Yeah.
hero. And this is this character that this actor is playing. And everyone looks at him as his plane's hurtling to the ground. Well, why don't you save us? I can't fly. Yeah, but you're a superhero. I'm just an
Right.
actor that played
Right.
an action hero. And it's funny
Yep.
how we put these, I don't know how you want to describe it, but these burdens really upon
Yeah.
people that are false, like the actor on a UK soap opera. He was walking down the street, someone walked up and punched him because in the soap opera he'd done something bad. So
Yeah.
we can build these false. I mean, we're not even talking about like really crazed out people here. We're just talking about people who just
Right.
get really involved emotionally because they're
Yep.
connected into the characters of a fairly cheesy made British soap opera. How much
Yeah.
more with the stuff that you get in the Marvel world of CGI level quality, where
Yep.
the walls aren't shaking like they used to do in the Neighbours sitcom. Actually, it looks and feels very, very real. It gets under our skin even more.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And just I think we want to believe that we are immune to the influence of entertainment. I think we're willing to admit, oh, it affects other people, but it doesn't affect me. I am smart enough and, really able to be savvy and not let it influence me, but it does. It influences us emotionally. It influences our worldview. It can influence our behavior. It can influence what we believe. I mean, we can even go so far as to say there's been a lot of research on what screens do in terms of how our brains interact. So it even influences us biologically. So that is happening, which is why again Plugged In exists to help you think about what that influence really looks like.
And having a heads up is honestly, as a parent, my kids are a bit older now. I still
Yeah,
have the same looking out for them. I don't think that's ever going to change when they're in their 60s. I'm still going to be looking out for them because that's what you do as a parent. But,
that's exactly right.
over the years, we've been so grateful that we go not just to Plugged In because we didn't know where to go. Plugged In is basically our source now. We go to you for everything. What's in this film? One of my sons will say, "We can watch this film. I've checked it out and Plugged In. It's fine." Or, "What do you think, Dad? Is this okay for my younger brother?" And it's great that we have
Yeah,
something of a library which isn't making judgments, which I really, really appreciate and value, but it's just saying, look, this is the reality. This is what's
yeah,
gone on. You need to consider it. I'm not saying this is isn't Plugged In great, but that's exactly why I wanted you on this
yeah.
show because it's so useful.
Yep. That's definitely what we are all about. And I enjoy getting on each week and kicking these things around. I know we've been a little bit further afield than where we normally are, but sometimes these things happen and there's an intersection of
Yeah.
pop culture and the news that I think really does become an inflection point that we can talk about and what it means for us.
We can't talk about TV that's popular or popular music, whether you like Black Sabbath or not. It was big. You can't talk
Yeah.
about that and not talk about the lead singer then dying because it is
Yep.
just as pertinent and relevant today. Adam, thank you. Where can we come for all the advice we ever need and everything for pop culture?
Well, you can come to pluggedin.com and we are a ministry of Focus on the Family.
Adam, as ever, a pleasure. Thank you. And I really enjoyed going off on a little bit of a different
Yeah, it's
focus because
fun.
it's important.
Yeah, and it's important. It's more than fun. It's important. Right.
Cool. Thanks, mate.
You bet. Thanks, Eddie.